I be able to see it?
It'll come up in the box on the left.
I think that I might need glasses. Do you have a pair in there?
Huh?
Do you have a pair in there?
No.
If she comes down, that's cramp. Yep.
Ellie Bells!
Because he didn't hear her.
Here we go. Can you read it?
No.
What are you doing?
I'd love to answer you, but I cannot see anything. Those are your clean ones? I can physically feel on the outside.
People are commenting, so you can respond to them. Nope, much appreciation for that, guys. Seriously.
Hi, Sarah. I need that fast. Oh, you just get the big people, the big naughty people out of there.
You can't really. Oh, you can. No, you gotta read the letter. For those of you saying next year, there is no next year. I'm asking to be taken off the ballot. Requesting that they take it off the ballot. I want to do the Veterans Committee. What are you doing? Popcorn? Is that what you're asking? Hey. Get it. You can't decide.
Just that just goes so fast. I don't even. I feel like I'm looking like out of half my eyes.
We're giving us money.
Money for what?
They can donate
For what?
to me.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
Well, I think we should talk about what we were going to talk about before, which was
Moving?
the journey of what is happening with us. So since we have a big audience, maybe we could help some
Right.
people
What are you talking about?
being diagnosed and what we've been going through.
You've been going through it. I've just been kind of sidekicking it.
I know, but from the beginning, I mean, maybe it'll help somebody, especially in these times where.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want to talk about? Go ahead.
In these times where, we're putting off doctor's appointments and stuff. And, a couple of people who were diagnosed with cancer who, probably should have gone in earlier, but couldn't get into the doctors. And I don't see any of that changing anytime soon. But it's hard to imagine that in August, it's the end of August last year, I felt something that felt like it was like when you nurse a baby.
Yeah.
And clearly, I'm not nursing a baby anymore. And it felt like a clogged duck. And I called and they said that it would take me 7 weeks to get in. And I said, I don't think so because I feel this. I think I need to go in earlier. And the thing is, I've gone every 2 years to the doctors. It was a trip with my mom and I. And last year, when we were supposed to go, that particular month, my mom passed away. So we didn't make it. And so it wasn't until 9 months later that I felt a lump. And they did the biopsy. It was one of those things where they knew as soon as they touched it, they knew the size of it. Did the all the, what is it, ultrasound and it's a scan they put you in. What's that scan?
PET scan.
PET scan. And they said everything was going great. That they thought they had caught it early, and they were looking at radiation and a lot. And I went to different doctors because I think it's just so important to go until you feel comfortable with somebody. And I have a blood disorder. I wanted to feel comfortable. I wanted somebody that, in case I did start to bleed on a table, that they would know what to do. And then we ended up at MGH. And I think the hardest part about all this is having to go in alone. And, sitting there waiting and then trying to get in the internet to find out what it is and what's going on. So we scheduled the lumpectomy in November, and the tumor was much bigger than they expected. It was over 5. And they were going to do reconstruction, which for me was a reduction to try and even things out. And when they did the lumpectomy, they found that the cancer was in my lymph nodes, which is not always uncommon not to find it in the scans. But when you have a lumpectomy, they take the what are they called? The lymph nodes from inside your underarm. And I remember calling Kurt upstairs because now it's not like regular doctor's appointments. Your stuff just comes over on your computer, and you have like a host. All your doctors stuff comes up, your tests and everything. And I called him up and I said, read this and see what you think. And I think he was pretty strong that we realized that it was in the lymph nodes and it was going to change the action of the way everything went. And I called the next day, and the doctor said, I got the doctor, but the nurse said, yeah, she'll be calling you later. So now a lot of times you get test results before your doctors do, and which can be scary. But when I've been through cancer before we knew the words, it was just really going to be like what was going to be the treatment. And I remember being so shocked that I couldn't cry because I didn't think that was going to be part of the plan. And somehow being part of this whole plan, and it does, all the women, when they talk about chemo, they talk about losing your hair. And it was just, we don't want to look sick. And I didn't want to look sick. And I knew that that's what chemo was going to do. And I was really lucky because the way that I handle things, I would fall apart. The day before I had to go in and find out that they were going to tell me what my program was going to be. So I was perfectly fine when I was at the doctor's office alone. It's almost like I didn't show anything. So I had to get it all out at home. And I went in and they said, are you sure? Are you okay? Do you know why you're here? And I said, yeah, it's in my lymph nodes and you're telling me that I'm going to need chemo. And I just remember them kept saying, you're just so calm, just so calm. And as the process goes, the whole hair thing gets littler and littler of an effect. So I decided that before my first chemo, which was going to be the 9th of December, that I was just going to chop it off. Chop it off to have short hair, like short hair. He would find it interesting because it was not short enough for him. But cut the short hair, gave it a look. As many of you do or do not know, my hair is extremely curly. So it's kind of funny because everybody says your hair grows back really curly, but my hair was already curly. So I went from a short haircut to curls on top of my head. And it was like, I knew the time was coming that they told me about when your hair starts to fall out. And so I decided to take it into my own hands, and I got my head shaved. And we made it a party, and we had Bert and the kids and a couple of friends and my dad, and everybody came over, and my friend Jen shaved everybody's head, and I was shocked because my hair was actually brown. Didn't expect it to be brown underneath there. Can you imagine? Thought it was always blonde, and that felt good, and it was preparing me for what was next. And then I was all wrapped up in Christmas. It kept me going. And the day after Christmas, I don't even know why. I was feeling sad because I get everything wrapped up for holidays. Like, I just want it to be the best, or as well, the happiest Christmas ever. And so always the day after, there's like a down day for me, and I was up and by myself and kept noticing that there was dog hair on my computer, and Pucky was about the length of my hair. And I said to my girlfriends on the computer, I said, I think I have a dog hair in my mouth, or I have one of my hairs in my mouth. Like, I don't understand it. And, it's just not processing. And I went in the shower, and as I went in the shower, it came, just like they say, it just ran down my face the way that it came out. And when you touched it, it would come out. And I was surprised. I don't know why. I knew it was going to happen. And I called Kurt and said, it's happening now. It's happening now. It's falling out. And we cried, and we said it was going to be okay. And
I took a shower in my clothes.
Yeah, trying to calm me down. That's the thing. Like, I should have been prepared for that. Like, I cut my hair on stages waiting for that. And it's just, you're never ready for your hair to come out in your hand like that. And to have so much little hair, I felt like it's so much coming out. So I still never cleared it up if it was Pucky hair or my hair that was in my mouth. But the next day, or that day, I said to my friend, this isn't going to last till Monday. It just keeps falling out. And that night, my cousin was killed in an accident. And I said, just cut it off. Like, it was just like too much. The hair didn't matter anymore. And we cut it off that night. And by the 30th, by the second treatment, I was completely bald. And I do think that I have become maybe a little too comfortable with the bald head.
That's fine.
The wigs do itch, and the hats are fun. I have a peanut head.
I just like the hats.
The hat doesn't always fit right on my head. I had my third chemo, and I didn't lose my eyelashes yet, which is surprisingly well. With that and coming home, the thing is, I don't have any taste right now, and that's killing me, because you want to eat and you try to eat, but like nothing goes down, or it doesn't stop me from trying, because I went on the scale. They said I gained 10 pounds, and I said, well, they said that was part of it. I said that was not part of the brochure that I read. So now I'm dealing with that issue, but I also couldn't get the, I couldn't move around because the reconstruction was taking so long to heal. It's taken a full 2 months for me to get reconstruction. The reconstruction.
Huge boobs.
No, I don't.
There you go.
They were reduced.
So still huge.
So they were reduced. They're not huge, but they're pretty scarred up. And then we go through the third one. I crack a tooth, and
That no one can see.
I don't care. I cried more in that dentist chair because I cracked that tooth than anybody can imagine. And that just happened to be a week ago. And then the third chemo.
Yeah, I did not know that. His wife refused treatment because she won't lose her hair.
He passed away 12 years ago.
Wow. They have this thing that you can do. It's a cold cap. It kind of keeps half of your hair, but I'm in my 50s and my hair is not that strong. I can totally see girls who are younger doing that. But the first question I asked them was, if I do this, am I going to be in a room with people who can't afford this? And she was like blown away that I asked that, because there was no way I was going to save my hair when other people weren't going to be able to save their hair. So It ends up that we're all by ourselves thanks to COVID. I'm a little anxious on the fourth one if I'm going to be able to ring a bell or something, because I see all the girls ring the bell after their chemo stops. And then I got a month, and then I have 33 radiations after that. So it's like I'm going to school with Garrison the whole time. You know, it started in August when he started school, and he to finish up pretty much at the same time. But it's been such a blessing to see how many people have reached out that I don't know, and how many people I've met who say I'm going through it, and you know, I am now tutoring them through it, and how big this community is of women who have breast cancer. And my friends are kind of glad that we're on lockdown, because they're afraid I'm going to put them in some sort of charity walk. My girlfriends are not really big into exercising. They're like, oh, thank God. But I told them that we would do a virtual walk. But I have a great, like COVID, I got my kids at home, like my dad, and I got my husband, and these two incredible friends who know that there's a day that I should be out of bed, and they seem to show up all night. You know, time for me to get me to be down. That's pretty tough. That's when I'm feeling like I've been beat. But through and through, the journey hasn't been any harder than I thought it would be.
Hasn't been harder.
Mm-mm.
I think we've been. I'm speaking because I'm not getting treated. I think we've been lucky. That last treatment, I expected a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And we got very light as compared to the other ones.
Yeah. Well, the first one was so much pain, but I also think that I learned how to get ahead of the medicine. It's kind of hard because you're not sitting in doctor's offices with people, and you're not saying and this and this and this. You're kind of trying to roll the dice and make sure that you take care of yourself that way, and that's hard. And I do feel blessed that, you know, I'm not a 35-year-old who has small kids at home and who's really fighting. I do fall into that category where I haven't gone through the change of life, so they consider me young, and then they have to throw me into it. So I fall in between the really young groups and the ones who are past that. But I've gotten lots of bracelets and cards and homemade blankets, and it's special because it's a hard time, because my mom, you know, is hardest thing that's ever happened, and it was so quickly, and to think that 9 months later I would be fighting cancer by myself almost seemed too cruel. But the only thing I can think of is that this would have broke her heart to see me like this. And you know, every day it's funny. Every day I get up and go to the shower or the bathroom, I'm still stunned when I look at myself in the mirror. And I'm even letting kids do the cartoons with me. The turtle one, did you see the turtle?
I saw the turtle one.
But in all fairness, I do have, I'll show you, I do have a tiny little head.
You do. She does have a little peanut.
I have a little head. Now, my face is getting fatter because I have the new extra 10 pounds that I'm carrying. So you can imagine the TV screen, I'm probably carrying at least 17, 18 pounds. But, you know, it's all in how you have to look at yourself and find the humor. You know, how quick I can get ready now, not having hair.
Which is a lesson.
Yeah, I can get, and I don't have to put lipstick on because I have to wear a mask. So I'm pretty much out the door pretty quickly. Not many places to go, but I want to do this because I want to get people to see that it is crippling for a lot of people, and I want them to see the bright side and the funny side, and you know what people can do for other people and what that means to them. it's not stuff that you can buy. It's not stuff that, has to be expensive. It's the thinking of you when you're not expecting it, or slipping something in somebody's mailbox. And just last week, I told the story. I had gotten flowers, and it was from the girl hockey days, and I spent 12 hours trying to figure these 3 names, like what 3 moms? These 3 mom names don't go together, because I was thinking of my kids' hockey, and it ended up being my college hockey team had sent it, and it was
Field hockey.
sometimes things come when you're not expecting it. Today, you have one of those moments that someone put me at peace. I mean, I woke up feeling like you were going to go on the Hall of Fame, and quickly realized that wasn't going to be it. And it was a long day. And I walked out to the garage, and I was putting something out in the garage, and this young Black UPS man was walking towards me, and I didn't have my hat on because I had worked out. And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I usually have my hat on." And he goes, "Nope, I totally understand. And I want you to know that I'm praying for you." And it's little things like that that catch off guard. That was like a piece of my heart. So even though today was depressing, it's still trying to find the good in people.
Yeah, but it's over, and we have tomorrow now. I'm the least upset of anybody involved in this, because I knew how this was going to play, and I told you, my biggest issue has been the pain it's caused you guys. It's over with now. Now we get to fix or focus on the important stuff, like moving, going to look at a new home, and get you well.
Yeah.
So
I know.
And these are such trivial things. Like I said, my truth didn't vanish. None of the stuff that matters to us left. The memories, the trophies, the rings.
Yeah, it is hard. It is hard to.
The challenge is just in watching people that know us say things. Well, 2 things. The horribly bad human beings like Mike Missinelli, who knows who we are and has been in our home and has done and said the things he said. And probably just, and we were talking about this, the fact that the people we know have really done, said nothing in defense of who we are. I mean, I certainly don't expect it. I don't, because, and it's a, people don't want to step into the landscape because they know sticking up for us will get them brutalized.
I think that through the years, people have said stuff to me, and my response is, if you don't like what he says, don't read it. We have 6 people in this house. We don't all agree. Do you read the stuff that Grant does?
Never.
No. 1, you don't have interest, and 2, you think of different things. But we can have a conversation in the house about what our differences are. And that doesn't bode well. And I think the fact that there are so many people happy tonight at our pain.
Yeah.
It's a world that is just bad.
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons we both want to unplug.
But the thing is, you are American. I'm an American. We have the right. We don't have. We have the right.
We have the right to do all this, but the left has made the decision to punish anybody who doesn't affirm their beliefs. I mean, it's not that complicated.
Well, again, half of the country.
It's not half.
Well, regardless.
We're a majority, a large majority.
Half of the country believes and voted a certain way, and that doesn't even factor into the fact.
But none of this should even be in the conversation.
No, I'm saying it doesn't even factor into how people do their media, how the people
Well, I think, and somebody just said this, and I was thinking about this the other day. The fact that 70% of them voted for me tells you, like, I think what my numbers say. Like 70% of these people, probably 80, 90% of those 70% can't fucking stand me, don't know me, and totally disagree with me, yet they still voted for me. So, but
Yes, but you have the guys who say, I will never.
right.
I will never.
Well, that's what I said. That's why this makes it easier. Take myself off the ballot and let the Veterans Committee do it, and I'll let the players vote. And if the players believe I'm in, awesome.
Yeah, because it's really taken it away. 9 years. I mean, there was a whole year you were with and you didn't even speak. Yeah. There was nothing for them to even.
You had a writer today who said, I didn't vote for him because of what he said about the Capitol. The Capitol tweet, which, by the way, I wasn't anything what the media portrayed it to be, but that was January 6th.
Yeah, he voted by the 31st.
He voted December 31st, so he lied. That's
right.
What they do. They lie. So,
yeah. No, those people have no intentions. Their goal is just to make sure that you are never going to get in there. And they can say they did it.
Yep.
And all I can say is it will come back to haunt
well,
them.
I mean, everybody has to be accountable at the end. And these are just really, really bad people.
And you know, it'd be different. Like our kids were sort of there. They were young. I was there. I was there for the crowds. Yeah. I was there when we won the World Series. I was there when Randy Johnson said, you go to the Red Sox, you are in the Hall of Fame. Go to the Red Sox. All of a sudden you need another one to go into the Hall of Fame. And it just became like more and more. But let's back this up to the fact that you were one of the first people to talk to the media, to open up your home and make it easier. I worked in the media before. They used to have to pay players to come on the after show. Do you remember that?
Yep.
You did it. You made their lives easier. And then they said, when they got other people, shut up, you talk too much.
Well, again,
but you did it. You opened yourself up and you let them be a part of our lives. No party. And we did those charity events. Those people were in our hearts.
But none of those things were done for these reasons.
No.
So that's why we don't talk about it, because we didn't. I mean,
but you won every charity award you could win before we got to Boston.
Well, the irony in that, and the only reason we'll talk about that, the irony is a lot of the same people talking shit about me voted for those awards.
Yeah. Just, I know it's wrong, but I feel like the Hall of Fame has some responsibility here to put some clear guidelines down.
Well, the process,
not fighting for somebody because you don't like them. Take yourself out of the ballot.
The process is deeply flawed when 10% of the electorate can vote for 10 different players on a ballot, and other people vote for nobody. There's no logic there. And first of all, let's be clear: the people voting have no right to be voting. They don't have any more insight than a good fan.
Oh, you're 20 years out now.
But my point is that it has always been a horribly flawed process in the fact that players' totals go up and down every year after they retire. There's a logic to that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a Hall of Famer in 2014 to a voter, I'm a Hall of Famer in 2020. So.
Well, in the beginning, it was because they didn't want to put you in before certain pitchers, and
but again, none of that matters. Yeah.
But like I said, when you had one entire year that you couldn't even talk, they didn't put you in. I know.
Well, no, it goes back to what your dad said, and this is all. Every bit of this hatred stems from and will always be about 2004 when I said vote Bush. The hatred was immediate. It was our charities lost hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars.
But we were still able be in the community in 2006 and 2000.
Because I was
Right.
different.
Right. And then the whole, the 38 Studios thing, I don't even know why that's brought up and everything. Like, why
Well,
is
again,
that?
saying it's easy because people that don't like you.
There's no accountability on anything that they write about. It's just regurgitating
Lies.
Well, it's like you each read the same card and you're each going to have a different interpretation.
Yeah, but
if you want that card
when
to
the different
something,
interpretation is one is black and one is white, it's not a different interpretation. That's somebody's taking whatever the material is and making it into something it isn't. That's what I said to the hall, which was the media has created a Kurt Schilling that doesn't actually exist.
Right.
And they're too lazy, ignorant, and hateful to do any. I've had 2 writers in the last 6 months call me for an interview. But everybody's writing articles. They're too lazy because they know if they call me, the story's dead. And, the print media part, I mean, this girl comes into my home to look at my World War II collection and write an article about my World War II collection and leaves and writes about Nazi memorabilia. I mean, because she's too ignorant of history to know the difference. Which is offensive and laughable at the same time, given how much I love the military and my country and everything. For someone to call me a Nazi is like, wait, what?
No, not only that. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that over the years, the players, the people who their grandfathers had participated in those wars and, were passing away and they love baseball and they love you, gave you some of that stuff. Yeah. They said, this doesn't mean anything to us. It, meant a lot to my grandfather. My grandfather meant a lot to you, and they gave you some of that
Yeah,
stuff.
but the thing about those is those are our stories. Those are the things that enrich my life. I don't want to share those stories.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
But like it wasn't like you were like that's a different.
I know.
Story. So
I was on the board of directors of the World War II Museum in New Orleans, and half my collection is down there. So, it's like calling someone with a Jewish son an anti-Semite. It just there's no logic to what they do and say other than they just fucking hate people.
Well, and none of them seem to challenge your knowledge of World War II.
They
history.
can't.
Or
but the
or
thing that comes through is just how bitter they are and unhappy. And I guess that's the thing you have to walk away with, being comforted, knowing they're just miserable people. I mean, because there's no other. I mean, who else talks like they talk about other people and lies the way they lie without an agenda and without
there's absolutely agenda.
Yeah. But I want to end this part of the. I don't want. This is over with. We're done. We're not. I've asked the Hall of Fame to remove me from the ballot, and I'll go to the Veterans Committee, and totally good with that, because I'm not going to go through this next year, and if I will not honor or recognize anything that happens on the Hall of Fame ballot next year.
One thing that I don't know if you told your friends here, about the watching the TV last night. About the whole family came down and we watched the World Series tape of 2001, and Garrison wasn't even there. It was just a little twinkle in our eye. He's our World Series souvenir, but like just watching that, there were so many stories that we could stop and say, did you know this happened that day, that happened that day, and trying to whisper just a couple of them over to Gabby and Gary what was going on. This whole way that we have been treated since baseball ended, it sort of made you push everything down, like it just didn't exist anymore.
Well, no, it's to the point I don't want to be a part of it anymore.
Yeah, but it didn't exist. Like in my mind.
What?
It was so long ago that those are not my memories anymore. Yeah. And watching that last night was fun. And, I didn't tell you this story, but Grant had a friend here, and Grant has some
very liberal tendencies.
Well, but very out there friends. And you had an NYPD hat on, and every time you walked in the room, she flipped you off. And I guess Gabby was pretty mad about it. She was here. And I took Grant to the side and I told him the story about when 9/11 happened, about you going down there and giving the speech.
Right.
And this is a huge story. And he's like, why didn't you ever tell me that? And I go, Grant, it doesn't make sense why you would just allow somebody to do that. But last night, it was pretty, with the firefighters everywhere. I go, Grant, this is where it came from. And I think he said, is that where you got your hat, Dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
This generation, though, like those stories, it's a shame because they're not being told. The stories of how you might see who is getting the football award. I forget which award it is that they're ready to give to the football player who does the most in the community.
Oh yeah, Walter Payton.
It makes a difference, like when you really hear, because it teaches people how to get involved in the community and how much that means. Yesterday, I did I'm a Zeta call on, they were doing recruitment, and they just wanted me to talk about how important the charity part of it is.
Yeah.
And Zeta to offer charity is breast cancer. And I told them that we had lost, our best friend when she was 35 and have hair on. And I said, you might not think that $500 that you make on that run is going to make a difference, but it makes a difference in somebody like Maya's life.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important. And that's part of it, that so many great fun stories, meeting people that we've
It's the same. I get a lot of that when I go out and I'll talk to people. They'll be like, "You're way different than I ever thought you were."
Or they say, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I judged you."
Which is what anybody that meets us ends up saying.
Yeah,
and that's I've always said it. I mean, the outside opinions affect you and the kids way more than they affect me. It doesn't mean they don't affect me, but I'm okay with it because I know they don't know me. And so, like, when people talk about all the things, but they don't know me.
You're right. They don't know you, but they spread it.
But that, again, there's nothing to do or say about it.
Taking over.
But it's already done. That's why we're here.
It's done. It's taken over our life. It's gotten us to the point where you're not going to get in the Hall of Fame.
And
for no other reason.
Literally, this we had last night was true. I just wanted this over. I honestly, and part of me was rooting hard for it not to happen. It was because I didn't want to go through the bullshit of all the haters in the media writing all the shit about me again and again and again, which is why I made the choice to walk away. It's over. And that they got me there is disappointing. But like I said, it's far more about you and the kids having to endure bullshit that none of you deserve than it is I can handle it. I'll get mad and I'll get irritated and all the things that go with that, but I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll have forgotten about it. And every time it comes out, it hurts you guys, and that crushes me. And
it starts in November, and
it's been 9 years.
Yeah,
and so,
and like I know this doesn't matter, but you were so hateful, and you hate him so bad that in our time, like these writers.
Them.
I'm
talking about them. Okay.
It's just time of like where you should really, there should be some compassion.
Well, no, it gets back to irrational hatred of Donald Trump, and I know that sounds stupid, but the fact that this is all based on my political opinions.
No, but I'm saying.
But I'm saying, when you look at the level of hate that is generated, it's irrational. These people stood in front of a locker. Steve Buckley is a great example. Steve Buckley stood in front of my locker, and we talked on and off all the time. And we agreed, and he was clearly very liberal and progressive. The day he came out gay, I was the first person on the planet to reach out and call him and say, listen, two things. First off, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to live that lie, and I hope I never offended you. But God, it has nothing. I love you to death. That same guy wrote articles about what a horrible human being I am.
But I think he went back to picking you.
No, but that's not the point. I don't want somebody to pick me if they're going to write lies about me.
Right.
Fucking don't. You're not doing me a favor. Don't pick me. Don't vote for me if you believe the bullshit. But he knows what kind of person I am. He knows the things I've done and said. In his life, I've done and said them. And for him to turn on me, and that's probably, the guys that have turned. Well, Mike Missinelli, to be such a piece of human trash that he would go that far. And he's doing it for two reasons. Number one, he's spineless. But number two,
he's doing it for media attention.
He's trying to get ratings. He's seventh in the sixth station market.
I know.
He's been 30 years trying to beat somebody he's never been.
Yeah, but
to be at this age and to have nothing to go home to is on his own.
I just looked at it as, we were close. We were close when we were in Philly. And I just can't imagine ever turning on anybody and saying something.
Well, it's because
I have nothing to gain from it.
No. We were both raised right. Like I don't do things, and I'm sure I don't mean it's all inclusive, but the fact of the matter is, no, you and I don't do things, especially you. I don't think we've ever tried or done anything to intentionally hurt someone else's feelings. Like I fucking hate bullies, and that's why I've never really ever been someone who's gotten in a fight, because number one, I don't bully, and number two, all things go with that. But the fact of the matter is, that's not who we are or how we act. So when it happens, it's very foreign. And that when it happens to someone like us, it's like, wait, what? This is the opposite of the real world.
Right.
And that's the Kurt Schilling the media has managed to create. And they've got these people believing things about me. This is a great example. People will come on here and say, you're a bigot, you're a racist.
We know what happened with Gabby. Walking into a bar and two big black men walked up to her and said, "Are you a racist?" And Gabby just blindsided and said, "What are you talking about?" She's brand new at a school that is 40% black and has been in a clubhouse her whole entire life with all different kinds of kids. And she's like, "No, why would you say that to me?" And he said, "Because your daddy is one."
Yeah.
Now they just made a joke out of it, made it.
Well, they do that when they get caught, because the second you call them on it, 9 times out of 10 they back down because they're weak-willed people. But
those interactions.
Think about. I know. Well, but again, that's why this was an easy decision for me. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to give these are. And I told you this, and I know it's not a comfortable conversation. I've seen these guys do and say things that are beyond repulsive, from alcohol, all of it.
Right.
They all have the same, whether it's wife beating, driving drunk, drug addicts, sexual assault, molestation. They all have those skeletons in their closet, and somehow someone's made them believe their liberal education, number one, because 86% of sports journalists are liberal, which blows me away. But it makes sense. They believe that they are in a place of judgment, and rightfully so. And I've said this to you for decades. There are fans who are far more informed and smarter and articulate than I've met. But the people that have the pens have the power, and they wield that. You see, look what they've managed to create. Again, I'm not absolved. I've said and done things. The T-shirt, I wish I hadn't tweeted it, and it wasn't its own tweet. I try to explain it away. I wish, but again, I don't have this history of like, hey, let's lynch people.
Well, there was the thing that Garrison said today about the headline of, well, this is a good group, and it was wife beater, alcoholic, drug driver, and blah blah blah, and somebody's social media. And I thought there are two ways how do you want us to look at that. First of all, how does social media even fall into those other categories of wife beating and child abuse and that all that?
Right.
Or maybe we're just all flawed.
Here's the problem. People that wrote and attacked my character voted for a man who beat his wife, voted for a man who beat an elderly man. They voted for two guys who OJ level of cheated with evidence. People, those two guys chose to ruin other human beings' lives to protect their lives. And those aren't one-offs in the sense that if you beat your wife, if you hit your wife and beat your wife, that's something that's part of who you are, your makeup, whether it's right or wrong. I'm sure you can come back from it. Beating an elderly man, cheating, those are things that are life choices. 22 years I've played in the big leagues. No teammate, nobody ever called me out. No writer ever saw me do or say or act in any possible way the way they're thinking. 22 years of that with no teammates ever, or a tweet that they disagreed with. The single tweet in a life of 54 years, they've chosen to define me. And a lot of them have lied about it. But so all of these conversations get back to why I've been more at peace with this than you is I don't want this in my life anymore.
No, I'm at peace with it now because when I start getting myself so worked up over this in November and know it's not going to end in January, I don't want to do it anymore either. No. And all it does is take away from the kind of person that you were and that the kids will go further away from if this is what they keep saying.
By the way, we're looking at 15,000 people. And we've got the comments and the responses from has been huge. Yeah, and there's a great example. Bob Costas says Al Michaels talked his way into the Hall of Fame. Schilling have talked his way out. Bob Costas knows me.
Bob Costas wrote the back of my book.
But I'm saying Bob Costas knows me. For Bob Costas to say and do things like that without saying, "Listen, I know the guy. This stuff is not true."
Well, they're just going on.
But he's in a position to voice a public opinion that a lot of people will listen to, and that's the frustrating thing is people like that don't say
they're not going to hurt their careers.
Well, but right, and so, and I would in a heartbeat. All right. So, hold on, we're going to log off here. Thank you. Yeah, just keep. Yeah, he was a horrifically fat, overweight, underachiever.
So I am or you are?
No, Cindy Ponson.
You did not say that, did you?
Well, no, it was a fake Twitter account. Shonda and I wanted to hop on and just talk and share her story. So
We did not grant back to school.
say it again.
We did not grant back to school.
No, I got a call from my single A coach.
Because it couldn't be like Grant not to just.
Uber?
Oh my God. He needs to get the clothes out of the dryer for one.
All right. We're going to sign off, guys. Thank you. I'll be out in the model room later. But appreciate it. And I appreciate having my lovely little peanut head.
I was doing the.
I know, I saw that. I saw that.
Well, it's that, and I look like the turtle from Masters of Disguise, and I look like Dumbo. I can make myself look like Dumbo.
No, you really can't. You don't have the head for it.
No, the ears,
I know,
when they
but
pop
you don't
out
look
when I
that
do
way.
the things. He hasn't said if you got a ride. I really don't want to take him.
What? I'll take him.
I know. Uh-oh.
What?
Somebody downstairs. This might be the ride.
Yeah, I'll take him. I can take him.
Yep. I just sent you a text.
You need a ride? You ready to go?
You're not ready to go?
I need to get my big computer.
All right. So, all right. Say goodbye, hon. We're heading off, guys. Thank you.
You have got to stop letting her come down without supervision.
Love you guys. I'll be on later.
You guys are down here.
Yes, and we were doing something and she shit right there, so you need to go clean it up.
Did you get your stuff out of the dryer?
No, I didn't know I was supposed to.